Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, I'm pretty sure you heard that Vladimir Putin doesn't want peace in Ukraine, but we do want peace in Ukraine because we are the good people and they're the bad people. Well, I have here two articles coming from the same source, actually, from Reuters, citing three other sources where they say that Putin wanted peace, but Washington, D.C. refused peace offer. So Putin's offered a ceasefire in Ukraine, and the Americans said, no, we want to fight. So who wants peace and who wants war? So whenever you hear next time the idiot Duda or other idiots in the Baltic states or other idiots in Great Britain, France, and Germany, and States of America telling you, no, Putin is not serious about peace, well, remember this article. So let's start with Ukrainska Pravda. Ukrainska Pravda is a Ukrainian media outlet, just so you know. And they cite Reuters. That's not Russian. US rejects Putin's proposal to cease fire after meeting of mediators. And the other one comes from Washington refuses Putin's offer to freeze, quote unquote, Ukraine war report. No, he says ceasefire. The new voice of Ukraine. Isn't that better? A ceasefire than fighting and having people killed? I think it's better. The United States has rejected an offer from Russian dictator Vladimir Putin for a ceasefire in Ukraine along the current front line. A ceasefire, right? The Reuters reported on February 13th, citing three Russian sources. According to Russian sources, the US rejected Russian President. How is this possible? This guy's calling him president, the other guy's calling him dictator, and they're Ukrainians both. Make up your mind, boys. As of now, you got the dictator-in-chief who doesn't want to have elections. This guy wants to have them, so I think he's better than the Zelensky Stein, isn't he? All right, President Putin's proposal for a ceasefire in Ukraine to halt the war after talks with mediators. To halt, stop the war. Is it better than keep going with the war? I think it is. Would save lives, wouldn't it? According to three Russian sources, mediators met in Turkey near the end of 2023. So what, a month and a half ago or so. According to a fourth diplomatic source, Russia initiated unofficial contacts between the Russian Federation and the United States through intermediaries. Those contacts did not appear to result in anything. A US official said he was unaware of informal contacts through intermediaries. According to three Russian sources, Putin's signal was relayed to Washington, where senior US officials gathered, including White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, Central Intelligence Agency Burns, and US Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Not Biden. He's out of it. According to one source, Sullivan planned to speak with Putin's foreign policy advisor Yuri Ushakov to determine next steps. However, when the call came in January, Sullivan informed Ushakov that Washington was willing to discuss other aspects of the relationship but would not discuss a ceasefire without Ukraine, according to one Russian source. The US official declined to provide any information about Sullivan's alleged phone calls, as well as whether such a conversation occurred with Ushakov. According to Russian sources, Putin publicly and privately, through intermediaries such as Moscow Arab partners in the Middle East and others, signaled to Washington in 2023 that he was willing to consider a ceasefire in Ukraine. Putin suggested freeze the conflict on current lines and refused to cede any Russian-controlled Ukrainian territory, but the signal represented what some in the Kremlin saw as the best path to peace. And I'm quoting, that contacts with the Americans came to nothing, end quote, said a senior Russian source familiar with the negotiations in late 2023, early 2024, speaking anonymously. A second Russian source familiar with these contacts told Reuters that Americans told Moscow through intermediaries that they would not discuss a possible ceasefire without Ukraine participation, so the talks failed. Well, now, if you think that the Americans really care about Ukraine being in the room or not, you should look, for instance, before the February 2022 invasion, how much the Ukrainians were allowed in the room. They don't care. They make it like this, like the Poles made it with the Danzig corridor. or Gdansk corridor. The same thing. It's like, for instance, you have a police officer stopping you, while you're driving, and he says, well, and I have your, driver's license and registration, please. And you say, well, I don't talk to you because you're kind of fat. No, I don't talk to you. Bring your supervisor. You have no really reason why you should not discuss with the officer just because he's fat and you want to talk with his supervisor. He's going to call his supervisor, supervisor is going to show up, and you're going to say, yet I will not talk to either of you until you call your supervisor. And so on until you go to whom? Who are you going to call? So you see, this is I can't remember how you call it. It's a fallacy. When in a conversation, you don't debate on the subject. You say, I'm not going to talk to you because I know the temperature in the room is not according to my liking. That's something that is unimportant. The same with these guys. We're not going to talk to you unless the Ukrainians are over there. Like we don't know, like retards, or the Russians, they don't know that actually you guys are in charge of Ukraine. Without you, the Ukrainians will be dead in 2 weeks or 1 week. Really. The point is this. Putin again extended the hand. You can say, well, the hand was not honest. Well, you don't know that. And if you tell me that Putin lied, the Americans never lied. So that, again, goes out the window. At least he says it. He initiated. He tried. You say, well, what, in that talk? You don't want to talk? Well, you're going to keep going and having a lot of killing over there. So remember, who is a little bit more inclined to discuss? The Russians. And remember, the Russians were not losing at the end of 2023. Maybe the other guys, that was the reason why. So when the other guys think that they will discuss, when they're winning, what makes you think the Russians want to discuss then? Well, remember, when these guys are telling you that Putin doesn't want to talk, Putin is not serious about that, it's like someone asks you, hey, do you want to go left or right? And you say, I want to go left. And the same person who asked you says, no. I don't think you want to go left. I think you want to go right. You're not sincere. I don't think so. You don't want to go right. You don't want to go left. You want to go right, actually. Why in the fuck? You ask me. That's how I ended a friendship with someone. The same way. He was asking me all kind of things. It was not at one point. Of a lot of things, and boom, 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 boom. And I said, wait a minute, you asked me a question. Like, for instance, do you like that? And I said, yeah, I like that. And I said, no, you don't like that. You just say that. What does that tell you? That tells you that you are lying. That tells you that he thinks that you are lying to him. You are not his friend. If you think that your friend lies to you, that's not your friend. So I said, you know what? Since you don't trust me, that means we're not friends, actually. Fuck off. The same here. I mean, every time you ask someone a question and you say, no, actually, that's not what you want, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to cease fire unilaterally? Like the Russians say, okay, nobody shoots anymore. That would be the one. And even then they will say, well, wow, that's a strategy. And I will pull up a garbage interpretation for the baboons why the Russians cease fire. I know, because they can't do it anymore. Let's go. Yeah, of course they want to negotiate now because they're losing. They will always find a justification. At least these guys are saying it publicly and are trying. The other guys, no. If Ukraine is not involved, like we don't know it's you. Oh man, please, my friends. All right, so next time we know who wants war to continue and who wants war to at least be stopped for now and maybe negotiate. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.